The Man in the Banana Trees by Marguerite Sheffer. It's a book filled with sci-fi, fantasy, and symbolic stories, the most recognized stories being The Yellow Ball Python, Ricky, and The Wedding Table. But the story I chose for my analysis is The Midnight Revolt at Bertrand's year-round Christmas store. The story revolves around Max growing up, creating a message of identity and acceptance, that you don't have to fit perfectly into society to accept yourself as who you are, and how I see Max's story as one being closely related to a story of trans identity. At the beginning, we see Max at 8 years old enjoying his favorite place in Bertrand's year-round Christmas store, the Snow Globe Wall. Now, this shop is in Florida. It faces the beach, and that wall is where Max saw the snow globe. It had a city ice rink, a skater in a short purple dress arching her ankle over her ponytail. The skater is so precious to Max that he wanted to be just like her, to have the same hair, clothes, and hobbies. From that statement alone, you can see the story's core meaning of identity, but acceptance usually comes after disapproval, which was seen with his peers and his family. His father stopped calling, and his mother is reluctant to let him have the snow globe, stating her frown when he picked it. The story skips when Max is 13 years old, and his perspective of the skater changes drastically. The snow globe now feels heavy in his hands, and he wants to hate her because his attachment led him to being ridiculed and bullied, going so far as to cut off his ponytail meant to imitate hers. Ridicule was so great, Max wants to hide the skater away. To get rid of her would be to lose the identity he had with the snow globe, and to gain an identity that would fit in with the crowd, representing social pressure to fit in and not stand out. His decision to spend one more night with the skater and accidentally breaking the snow globe shows his true identity, quite literally breaking free and coming to life. The skater suddenly gaining consciousness and Max scrambling to bring her home to Bertrand's just to see all the snow globes break free and head into the ocean wasn't random. It shows the journey of self-acceptance and belonging. Max and the skater cannot follow straight away because of the skater's broken globe. They're stuck with each other, for they are one and the same. No one's journey is the same, and some need more time than others to get to the end of the road. When Max first broke the snow globe, he couldn't understand the skater's language, but him believing she could teach him and he could learn shows he cares for the skater. In doing so, he shows he's willing to care for the part of himself he tried to suppress. Their outcome is different from others. They have always been different from others, and Max must learn to be different does not make him wrong. Now, how does this connect to trans identity, and can the story even be interpreted as such? Well, yes. In Marguerite Sheffer's Common Read Q&A, I personally asked her if the Midnight Revolt at Bertrand's year-round Christmas store could be interpreted as a trans acceptance story, where she replied,
Alyssa's question was about the Midnight Revolt at Bertrand's year-round Christmas store, and the inspiration behind the story and kind of what it's really about, and if it can be interpreted, or it is about identity, and if it can be interpreted as being about transgender issues. Yes. Definitely. It can be interpreted as being about those things. Those were some of the things in the back of my mind when I was writing that story. So much so that I'm not transgender myself. I know many people who are, but I also spent a lot of time on Reddit, actually, reading communities to try to familiarize myself with some narratives around younger people who'd been through a period of where they were struggling with their gender expression and gender identity. So that was definitely at the heart of that story.
So yes, research was specifically done to create a story centered around young people who struggled with gender expression and gender identity. Now this story connects to trans identity as it closely relates to the real stories of trans people and their struggle to accept themselves and express themselves. Article titled "The Struggle of Trans and Gender Diverse Persons" from the United Nations states that trans people are often subjected to levels of violence and discrimination that offend the human conscience. They are caught in a spiral of exclusion and marginalization, often bullied at school and rejected by their family. See the connections? At the start of the Midnight Revolt at Bertrand's year-round Christmas store, Max is immediately pointed out to be different than other boys. In a way, they enjoyed Bertrand's store. Though it is small, it makes notice of how Max isn't like his peers. The National Library of Medicine's Transgender Children and Young People, How the Evidence Can Point the Way Forward, says that trans identity can be seen in gender atypical behavior. While this doesn't mean anyone who expresses gender atypical behavior is likely to be transgender, it is a form of self-expression. This aligns with Max in his younger years of him showing gender atypical behavior. The Midnight Revolt at Bertrand's year-round Christmas story gives a symbolic story of identity, turning Max's identity into a real being that Max needs to learn to accept. Doing this created a classic story of trans identity and expression. Even with the telltale signs, the story is still up to interpretation, allowing anyone to connect to the story and learn to accept oneself for who they are. Noah, out.